So we've got Celena. Celena, just very quickly, Celena is a warrior, and she's going to let us know about herself and what she's actually doing in the community. So Celena, without going on too much, could you let the listeners know who you are and what you're actually doing in the community?
Oh, goodness me. Hi, my name is Celena. I'm the co-founder of the Lupus Hub CIC, and I help to support those living within the community to navigate the wonders of chronic illness.
Okay. So Celena, who is Celena? Who are you, Celena? I know you're helping people. How did you come about? Was it through your pain? Why you doing it?
No. So basically, how would I describe myself? I'm an empathetic, resilient, supportive, problem-solving mother, sister and daughter, and warrior. We grew up in a household where we were drafted in as counselors for everybody, even as children. And I think that's where we develop the skills that we have even now. A total stranger will see me on the road and decide that I'm the person they want to tell their whole life story to. It happens all the time. So, yeah, that's me.
That's who Celena is. So, Celena, tell us about your... All right, I'm going to start again. Tell us about your health journey then.
Oh, goodness me. Right, my personal health journey started with a diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis back in 94. However, after the passing of my baby sister Tan, who had been diagnosed with lupus way back in the 80s, and the deliberate actions of my then rheumatologist, I gained another diagnosis of systemic lupus also. Since then, being the overachiever that I am, I now have multiple chronic illness diagnoses. I had a stroke, back in 2010, and drove home. Ended up had to be put into a medically induced coma from listeria meningitis, and I've had multiple surgeries, some of which I had when I was fully awake.
You're joking. Wow.
Yeah.
So you was driving home and you had a stroke?
I was in the fruit and veg shop, the very large one that used to be on the corner of Green Lanes. And all I know is that the head started to spin like I was on a waltzer, and the lovely Irish people decided to take set on me. And all I remember doing was hanging onto the edge of the counter with my fingernails and just basically put my head down. And when the spinning stopped, when I looked up, I could see 3 of everything. And I was with my mum at the time, and I couldn't tell her this. So we had to get home, and I was the only person that drove. So we had to get in the car, and I followed the middle yellow line home and prayed. Thank God I got there safely. But yeah, when they took me into hospital the next day, they had to bike my scan over to Royal Free, and it was confirmed that I had a mini stroke. So yes, that is me.
Wow. Wow. So, I don't know what to say, because that's a scary thing to happen, and especially if you're driving and you've got people around you. Yeah. And sometimes I say this for myself. Sometimes when we're half in control, we feel embarrassed, like what's happening to me, and that embarrassment is, I don't know. Sometimes you feel, oh shit, no, I'm not here. You just want to curl up, you know? It's
funny for me. I didn't really have time for that. I just knew that I needed to get home. And as I said, my mum doesn't drive. We can't leave the car on Green Lanes. And even if we do, how the hell are we getting home? So thank God it's maybe a 5-7 minute drive to my house from there. And I said, we followed the middle yellow line home and prayed, and thank God, as I said, we got there quite safely. I didn't attempt to put the car on the driveway. We just left it in the middle of the road because it wasn't safe. So wow.
So, you know, like you were driving, you actually did tell your mum and the passengers, look, I'm not well?
No.
Or,
as I said, all I know, there's no way. My mum's a panic merchant. If I had, Lord, it would have been World War III. So no. I just knew that we had to get home. And as I said, to be fair, I think if I had felt worse within myself, apart from the triple vision, I would have probably not have tried to even do that. But it was something that I had been experiencing, not as badly as that particular time, but I had been having issues with my vision. I'd been getting double vision. So I had been going to the Moorfields Hospital. They said there was nothing wrong with my eyes. And unbeknown to me at the time or anybody else, it was a precursor to a TIA. It wasn't something that they knew then. They kind of understood that afterwards, I suppose, getting the pre-symptoms from people like myself, it then began to come up that, the double vision or the head spinning or becoming very hot and maybe throwing up, to put it bluntly, could be all precursors of an impending stroke. Or mini stroke, beg your pardon, not a full stroke.
So in a sense, your what happened to you, the data inputted into the signs and symptoms of a stroke.
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm sorry for questioning you so much.
Oh no, please go ahead.
Was there anything? Because I asked this, are there things that can trigger off a stroke or trigger off the double vision or were there trigger points? Would you thought?
In my case, I realized anytime I got hot, that was a bit of a trigger with regards to the double vision or the head spinning scenario. But I didn't correlate them until this happened to me on Green Lanes. It just happened to be the previously recorded hottest day we ever experienced in this country. And I think my lupus just didn't like the heat. It just didn't like the heat and it didn't like the sun. Yeah. And that's what it caused on that particular day. But when it comes to common reasons for a stroke or even a mini stroke, it will be the usuals, the high blood pressure, the hypertension. It might be to do with high cholesterol. It could be to do with, what else again? I think the two main things they tested me for was the hypertension and the cholesterol, high cholesterol, and I had neither. So my stroke has come down to, we don't know. It was just idiosyncratic. That's what they put on my file. I could only put it down to thinking back. The episodes of the head spinning usually happened when I got quite hot. So I thought I kind of put it down to that, just me being me. However, there are quite a few reasons for TIAs and strokes. And the most common ones, as they would say, would be hypertension or really high cholesterol, beg your pardon.
Yeah, you mentioned, is it TIA or TIA?
TIA. So they call it a transient ischemic, oh good grief, something or another. So that's a mini stroke. So in my case, it wasn't that a blood vessel burst or anything like that. It was just I had a very slight temporary blockage. And when I say temporary, it could have been literally a couple of seconds, but when it comes to the brain, even a couple of seconds can be quite devastating. So in my case, I can only assume that the extreme heat maybe caused one of my blood vessels to slightly narrow too much, and then it kind of released itself. But in that time, it caused a little bit of damage. Thank God, not too much.
Can I ask, again, when you speak about strokes and hypertension and blood pressure, do people take, they used to say, take a thinner, and the thinner would be like an aspirin or something like that.
Again,
you know when you feel, I feel a little bit giddy or I've got a headache. Is it advisable for people to take, I know you're not a medical person, but most people turn to Nurofen and Nizanidine and stuff like that. They're feeling a little bit.
What I would say for me personally, when I was taken into Mid. I really shouldn't call the hospital's name, but it was North Mid at the time. I was given aspirin to thin the blood, because whatever else happens, you need to make sure the blood can travel around the body much easier. And even if it is due to, in my case, maybe a blood vessel's narrowed, the thinner your blood is, the more likely it is to be able to pass through. So would I advise anybody to take aspirin? No. That's not my place. However, that was what was given to me until they diagnosed that I did indeed have a TIA, and then they gave me warfarin for about the couple of days that I was in hospital. But yeah, as I said, warfarin. So that's a blood thinner. Yeah, unfortunately, it's also the same thing that they put in rat poison. And I know I shouldn't say that either, but it's the truth.
Yeah, but you're speaking the truth, because as sickle cell, I think it's morphine they take. But
for pain.
Same thing again, these I'm going to call them painkillers, can become addictive.
Absolutely. Yeah, so
as well as doing one job, they can also become addictive. So sometimes when people are traveling, I don't know about yourself, but when you're traveling with medication, people might think you're a druggie.
I'm quite lucky. I'm really, really lucky. I've been off medication now since 2013. So the only thing they might say is that with all the supplements I'm bringing, are they real? And I'll tell them, listen, you can take them. Feel free. You can test them. I use a lot of herbal supplements and vitamins and minerals and things like that. I don't really take medication like that. I've been lucky to not need to have them for an extended period of time.
Yeah. Wow. Right. So you know what? It seems. When we say chronic illness, what do you mean? What does that mean by chronic?
A chronic illness is a set of symptoms that are lasting over a particular period of time. So everybody gets a flu. You're going to kind of work it through maybe a week or two. A chronic illness is going to stay there for, I think, about 3 months at least and beyond.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what they term a chronic illness.
Okay, because I was just going to read out something to our listeners. They just give me this. Now, I'm going to put a list of people, because we're going to be touching on lupus now. Yeah. Right? I did not know this, until I came to one of your events.
Yeah.
Tony Braxton.
Yes.
Yeah. Tony Braxton.
Yep.
Seal.
Yep.
Lisa Lopez, is it?
Yes, from TLC.
Nick Cannon.
Yes. Yeah.
Gina Yashere.
Yep.
Selena Gomez.
Yes, Selena Gomez. Yeah.
Jay Dilla.
Yes.
Lady Gaga.
Yep.
Paula Abdul.
Yes.
She trained Michael Jackson to dance, if I'm correct. Ava DuVernay, she's a film director.
That's right, yeah.
Sally Hawkins.
Yes.
And those are the names that I have written down. Shannon Fox.
Yeah.
And it was reported that Beethoven may have had lupus.
Yes. And you missed out the most important one. Mr. Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Yep. Yeah. He was diagnosed after his hair caught on fire. He was diagnosed with lupus, by his dermatologist. Yeah.
Never knew that. Let me write that down. that one.
Yeah. So when they speak about...
And that was vertigo.
Exactly. So vitiligo is basically... It's an autoimmune illness that your immune system attacks your melanin cells. So this is why his colour changed, not because he was bleaching. Yeah. Vertigo. Yeah, the vitiligo. Yeah.
If I'm right, that's the depletion of the pixels in the skin.
Yeah, because your immune system doesn't like it. Yeah. Your immune system decides that it doesn't like it and it attacks it and destroys the cells. So yeah.
Okay. Right. You know what? It's a Lady Esi. Did you say something? Sorry.
I know. Obviously I went to Google and it straight away. So.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I'm gonna say, not gonna say. What are the signs? What are the signs and symptoms?
Okay, so yeah, all right. So lupus is a chronic autoimmune disorder, which means your white blood cells that are meant to protect the body from infection have become hyperactive, confused, and mistakenly attacks the person's own tissues. And when I say tissues, I mean anywhere. Any organ on your entire system can be attacked by your immune system when you have lupus. So if on a particular day it decides it doesn't like your left toe is going to be very painful and inflamed, and if not controlled, you can end up having a surgery or it just falls off. And I'm not being horrible. If it's your internal organs, again, can be the same kind of issues. So, you know, because of that, you're going to have common symptoms of joint pain, inflammation, organ damage, and soul-sucking fatigue. Yeah, that one is the one that I think every single person with a chronic illness, including lupus, will tell you they suffer from, and it is horrid. That is the kind of tiredness that it doesn't matter. You know, everybody's got that reserve. You know, you can push through. Yeah, we can't do that. We will kick over in front of you. Yeah. You know, so that's the issue. And as they would say, to add insult to injury, our symptoms are worsened with sunlight exposure. So in the last couple of days where we've had this wonderful, glorious sun that I absolutely love, I've had to hide from it in the last 2 days. I was out in it today and my body still didn't feel too right with it. So, you know, and what really came to mind for me was, how in God's name do the people that live in the hotter climes deal with this? You know, it really, really came to mind today. It is a horrible illness to have. It really is.
Yeah. Wow. So again, there are 4 types of conditions of lupus.
Yeah.
Could you just touch on those 4? Because this is what got me. And do you know that I mentioned the celebrities that got them?
Yeah.
Can you define which one they've got as well? Like, oh, he's had that one. All right.
About
the 4 different types.
I think all of them barring Seal, and don't quote me on this, but I think all of them barring Seal will have systemic lupus. So that's what I have, and that is where your immune system goes anywhere. It can affect anywhere. Seal has discoid lupus, which only is affected by, it only affects the skin. So this is where a lot of people think he has like the tribal marks on his cheeks. No, that is actually lupus rash, you know, and it basically causes inflammation and pitting in the skin. So that's 2 types. And then you have neonatal lupus, which I believe is when the baby in stomach, the immune system of the mother doesn't recognize the baby, or the other way around, and that can cause problems, but that corrects itself once the baby's born. And then you have drug-induced lupus, which wonderfully is how my lupus actually started. There are particular medications out there that will give you lupus-like symptoms, and the wonderful rheumatologist that I was under for rheumatoid arthritis decided that was the drug of choice to give me, knowing full well that I had lupus in my history, as in my baby sister had been diagnosed with lupus back in the 80s. And then yes, I was basically put on there, and once the drug wore off, the lupus didn't go.
Oh, so again, is it something that in a family that you people are asked to check? Oh, right, your brother's got it, sister's got it, check.
Again, funny enough, it's families like ours that have kind of made them realize that lupus does run in families. However, it's not as direct or as defined as with sickle cell. So it's not a case of, you know, you have 2 parents with a trait and then the child has got 1 in 4 chance of developing full-blown sickle cell or anything like that. It just means that it's your genes are more likely to switch on your autoimmunity. That's all it means. you know. However, when we started to investigate our family, we got to realize there is a trace of autoimmune illnesses right into, I would say, into my parents' generation, you know. And then crash bang wallop, me and my poor sister ended up in the crux of that, and we both ended up with lupus.
You know, as you're speaking, you know, I remember back, and I'm talking about 30 years ago, they used to say something about a butterfly.
Yes.
With lupus, and I couldn't understand what they meant by that.
So so the same marks that were on Seal's face, how they used to refer that the word lupus is actually the Latin word for wolf, and the reason they called it that is because of that same rash, and it looks like, as far as they were concerned, that somebody's been bitten in the face by a wolf. That was back in the day. Forward into kind of modern times, they were like, that description isn't cute. So what they then did was turn it to say that it looks like the wings of a butterfly. So the rash, when it comes up on some people, it looks like the wings of a butterfly, because it spreads like from the nose out under the eyes and down towards the cheeks. So that's where a lot of people have their lupus rash, or the visible lupus rash. But even that, some people don't really get that. And it's funny, I haven't seen that really present itself in recent times for whatever reason, you know. But that's why lupus is associated with the wolf and the butterfly.
Wow. This information is I'm glad that we've got you on here.
No worries. I'm glad to be here.
Sometimes sometimes it's so funny, but like I said, about 30 years ago, I kept hearing the word lupus, but back in the day, not a lot of people had it. So I used to think, it's something like a cold, or you know, a form of a cold, and we didn't really deeply know.
Again,
what
the
lupus was.
The reason for it, and I'm going to be extremely honest, is because lupus mainly affects women of African and Asian descent. 8 out of 9 people with a lupus diagnosis, and I'm saying these stats because these are the only ones that they have really recorded, and these were from America. England doesn't have any stats. Up until now, nobody in the UK knows how many people are living with lupus. It is not public knowledge. I called and emailed the Office of National Statistics, and they don't know. The estimate they gave me was 149,000, which I know is a load of rubbish. I'm only one person and I go very few places. However, if I do an event, or if I go to an event, I can guarantee you I will mention lupus, and the person I'm speaking to might say, I've heard of it. Oh, my sister had it. Oh, my cousin had it. Oh, my niece had it. Oh, a friend of mine died from it. But nobody bothered to correlate those details, which is why, as you said, you don't really hear much about it. And this is why I do what I do.